What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Top Dogs podcast here on the Field of 68 Media Network, and it is about that time to get this thing going again. We are 3 weeks away from the start of the college basketball season. I don't know about you guys, but I could not be more fired up for hoops to be back, and what better way to celebrate than by diving into a podcast on the reigning national champions. They are in the mix for 6. I had a fun week. I was able to head up to Storrs. I was able to watch practice. I caught up with Donovan Clingan. I caught up with Alex Caravan. I caught up with Tristan Newton. We will have those interviews rolling in future Top Dogs podcasts here coming up the next couple of weeks as we head into the start of the season. And next week, I am going to get into all my thoughts and breakdowns, kind of a season preview format based off of what I saw in practice, what I heard from talking people around the program, all that kind of good, fun, intricate stuff. But that's not what we're doing today. I was lucky enough to be able to get about 30 minutes with Dan Hurley sitting inside UConn's practice facility, and it was a blast, man. He was introspective, he was insightful, he was loose, he was fun. And afterwards, he even stole the phone as I was trying to FaceTime my kids to say good night, and got a full-on UConn chant from my daughter, who also told him that Kyle Schwarber is the best baseball player on the planet. I think you're going to like this interview. There's some fun stuff in there. Like I said, Danny was very insightful about what happened in January last year, about how he kind of had a come to Jesus moment, how the Queen Husky herself, Andrea Hurley, helped center him and get him back on the right path. And a little fun story in there about a no-hitter he may or may not have thrown in his younger days as a lefty pitcher throwing junk in Jersey City, New Jersey. But that's enough of me rambling. We're going to have enough of that throughout this season. So without further ado, let's get into it. Dan Hurley, reigning national champion head coach of the UConn Huskies. Big news. The Almanac is officially back. The most exhaustive and comprehensive guide to the 2023-24 college basketball season is available for pre-order now. If you go to cbbalmanac.com, link is in the description below, you can pre-order for just $15.99 or 20% off the sticker price. The format is going to be a little bit different this season. Instead of an 850-page PDF, you'll be getting access to the full site with league-by-league PDFs available for download. The preview will be live on September 20th, so you have until then to be able to get your pre-orders in. So for insight for all 362 Division I teams, from their head coaches and the experts that cover them, make sure you hit that link. Let me welcome you back to another episode of the Top Dogs podcast here on the Field of 68 Media Network, and I'm thrilled to be joined today by national champion Dan Hurley. How's that feel when you hear that?
I know it's like right over my left shoulder. I think that the banner's back there. Yeah. It feels
You
good.
can see it.
It's good, man.
So you got fitted for the rings, right? Did you get them?
Yeah, we got the rings.
You got 2 of them?
Got 2 of them because you get the lesser. I think it's like maybe one of the rings is not quite as nice as the other. I think that's the one that the NCAA.
What have you done with them? Are you just leaving them sitting in the cases?
I wore it a little bit. We had some recruits around, so I had to show it off. I mean, if you don't show that off, you're a fool. But then we went right to first night, and I didn't want any of the players to see me like wearing it. It's like this. So I won't wear it again until maybe I'm around a recruit again.
Until you get the 6th one, right?
Until we get the 6th one, right?
Yeah. So it felt like this summer was your kind of celebration tour. Every time I looked up, you're throwing out another first pitch somewhere. You're sitting in some other box somewhere, going to some other sporting event where they're honoring you on the Today Show. Was that as much of a whirlwind as it looked like from the outside?
Yeah, what a difference a summer makes. There weren't a lot of invites. I think I got you lose to New Mexico State and you score like 50-something points.
Hey, I invited you. I was here in the worst days, huh?
What was that like? Single A? I think I got a couple single A chances to throw it out. It was. I mean, we did a lot of cool stuff, but and a lot of people see that, but what you don't see is like all the work that you are putting in between. Like we got like mostly the full team in here in June. And we started practicing like it was October, like we did today, just for an hour. And then obviously you grind out the recruiting. So, but yeah, I mean, it's such a hard tournament to win, right? 6 single game elimination victories versus all different types of teams with no home court advantage, man. You win a tournament like that, you deserve to take a bow.
Yeah, you got to celebrate it, right? That's what you do it for.
No doubt. I mean, that's definitely part of it. The chase to win the biggest prize in our sport. We coach for a lot of other reasons, right? The relationships, the mastery of coaching, the camaraderie in the locker room and in the huddle, like that type of purpose that you get. But yeah, in the end, we're all at each other's throats here to try to be the last one standing.
So what was the most surprising part of this last 6 months for you?
I would say that just how smoothly the tournament went. I don't know if you're talking about like the actual playing, but I was surprised at how smoothly the NCAA tournament went. You didn't have the greatest experiences in the postseason before that. No, I mean I always try to say that the Maryland, that there should be not maybe give me like the 80% blame on that one because that was a unique experience in that bubble. Mm-hmm. But I deserve all the shit I took for the New Mexico State game. And just how poorly we performed and how poorly the team was constructed and the refusal to adapt to the modern game offensively. I would say I was surprised at how dominant we were in the NCAA tournament. You'd expect probably one of those games to have to come from behind late. And then I would say that the 6 months how differently people treat you in terms of just
before you go, I want to ask you about New Mexico State because it does feel like your process changed a little bit heading into last season. And how did you come to that realization, right? Like I don't think that you're someone that is going to change your mind too often, right? Yeah. How did you come to that decision? We need to change what we do, and how difficult was that?
It was tough. We're all married to an identity, and we also have we all have egos, and we feel like what we do is these guys are unbelievable down there. I hope they're pushing weight. No, but you go from high school at St. Benedict's to Wagner to Rhode Island, and you find yourself at UConn and you feel like you got all the answers. And the reality of it is the roster construction in terms of shooting and skill, it wasn't there. And then just the creativity in terms of how we were playing, whether it was half court execution or the transition game being becoming productive and efficient. And that was that night, post game nightmares in that hotel in Buffalo, and then that bus ride back. Ton of soul searching that weekend about the direction that we needed to go with the roster and how I needed to adapt. And culture, hard playing, defensive mentality was only going to get me to a point, and that point wasn't going to be an elite coach.
How much of that development was based off of who you were bringing back, right? Because I do think it's really interesting that I don't want to say growth as a coach, but you going to national championship level also came at the same time that you have Andre Jackson, that you have Adama Sanogo, that you have Jordan Hawkins, who, I mean, look, I haven't been in as many locker rooms as you have, but it feels like that trio was about as good from a leadership perspective as you could possibly ask for. Is that fair?
Yeah, no doubt. And they all did it in a different way. Jordan had that gunslinger type of confidence. Andre was like the great captain who was incredibly vocal and was like cool with his teammates, but also when he needed to be a hard ass, he was. And then you had Adama, who was just a competitive dog and a lead by example guy. And I knighted them when we got back. I think I met with them on Monday after we lost in that first round of that tournament. and you're the big three. I'm going to put a roster around you of guys that you could really excel with. I'm going to go in the portal. I'm going to get you some veterans that could shoot and that got confidence and that won't shrink in the tournament. And you know how much Caravan and Clingan are going to help you. So, and then we just got on a mission.
You've spoken before about the mental state that you've been in as a coach and how you've tried to change some of that. Do you feel differently now that you've kind of gotten that, I don't want to say the chip off your shoulder, but you've reached what your goal is in this industry? You can't get much higher than winning a national championship in college basketball.
Yeah, I think I'm going to take a lot more confidence with me. I'd say that I'll handle struggles moving forward, like less emotionally, and
I'll believe what you say.
But even more so, internally, because sometimes my sideline behavior is to make a point towards the officials. It's to make a point towards my team. Some of it is calculated. Now, some of it is a guy that at times has come unhinged too, which is something that where I want to be better. I think the master coaches, they know when to make when to make a scene relative to being displeased with something. But for me, I became the kind of that boy who cried wolf, and picking my spots better, I think, is just going to come from, I think, a confidence now that I know that, the way that we do things works, and that when I just focus on coaching and not get so caught up in the emotions, that I'm one of the few coaches in college basketball right now that knows going into the season that I can win that tournament.
It feels at least from the outside, that you kind of figured all of that out with the emotions and not going after the refs too much in the middle of last year, right? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, definitely. January, my wife, Andrea, kind of intervention, Brett Just, the agent, Andrea, the wife. In January, hey, you're you got to get your shit together here, buddy. You're the type of team. You're too good of a coach to act, all that type of shit. Like, you're too good of a coach. You got too good of a team. All the stuff that
did you need to hear that from them?
I think, yeah, I did. They're two of the people, especially my wife, Andrea, who she knows me the best of anyone.
She doesn't take shit from anyone.
And she doesn't take it from anybody. She obviously, she did a great show with her in Houston. Thank you for that. I'm sure the Providence game will be pleasant for her. I mean, it's always a mess when you go there. So it's not, how much worse could it get? Yeah, but the agent, I think, kind of having that conversation with me and saying, hey, man, like, this is your career. This is a big year. My contract was, advancing here, and it was year 5 is, pretty important, like put up or shut up, and you better focus on your coaching and get your emotions in check.
Yeah, I said it at the time that I felt like January was a real inflection point for, I don't know if like legacy is the right word. I don't know if you care about legacies or anything like that, but that last season could have gone off the rails, and for a while it did, and you were able to get it going again. Now that you're kind of removed from that, how do you look back on that, not just January, but the way that the season turned around?
I mean, that stretch, it's like anything in life, right? It's never just like one thing, or it's not just one thing that's correct in that situation. Yeah, I mean, I was a frustrated coach. I was frustrated with my team, so I wasn't managing the game and the program the way I needed to. I was frustrated with the officials, but the film didn't lie. I mean, I went back and watched the film and sent the clips in, and it's not like I got a response back that said, hey, you were wrong. They made really good calls. The calls were in fact bad calls and a multitude of them. And then the team wasn't playing well. Some of our best players were going through a struggle together. You know, if I had, you know, just Hawk playing bad or just but it was like, and then we played a brutal part of our schedule where, you know, Marquette, Creighton, Xavier last year.
Yeah, you probably were supposed to win like one game of the 5 that you lost.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, listen, I get the St. John's one. That was a complete dumpster fire. And you know, then you had the Seton Hall on the road, and you know,
where everybody had COVID.
Where
right?
I mean, we had the COVID going on, and it took a really bad bounce of the ball for us to lose that one. But again, like you play a tough part of your schedule. Again, Marquette, Creighton, Xavier last year. Xavier healthy. We were 4 of probably the 7 or 8 best teams in the country. So yeah, I mean, we fell into a tough spot in January, but obviously, I think losing in the Big East tournament, I thought from a leadership standpoint, forget yelling at refs, forget losing my shit on the sideline. Just as an internal, behind the scenes leader, I'm known to, off of brutal losses, to grind up everyone in the program. And I think there's a lot of coaches that take that tact, and it's very effective. But it's not effective going into a single elimination tournament. So, you know, post Marquette, brutal loss at the Garden. I think Tristan and Jordan go 4 for 21 from the field. Andre Jackson's in foul trouble. We miss multiple threes to take a lead late in that game and to surge ahead. Great looks at threes. I didn't go scorched earth after that game. We met the next day. We had a tough film session, but when we got back to Storrs, Connecticut, pre-selection show, it was all about celebrating our season. We're going to have a high seed. Let's go and win the tournament. No one in the non-conference could beat us.
So the Sanogo and Clingan dynamic, how can you replicate that this year? Are we going to see that from Sampson? Are we going to see him be the 15-minute a game guy? He looked pretty good today, practice.
Yeah. You know, I think our secret sauce right now is obviously we play through our center a lot, and to have two different types of centers, I think, is a problem for our opponent. And last year, the Adama, the 6'8" ass kicking, you know, battering ram that you're ducking in, and
turned into Jokic in the tournament too, right?
Turned into Jokic in the tournament. You know, he definitely had the 3 in his bag. We had to beg him to shoot it. I had to beg him to shoot it versus drop coverage. That's how much of a winner he was. And you know, to have come in last year with the 7'2" rim protector, who I think now has maybe grown to 7'3". This year it lines up perfect for us again. If we could get Donovan healthy, to have you know, the 7'3" guy who's a game changer at both ends of the court and hasn't even shown people everything that he could do offensively.
Yeah, I saw him shooting it when he was out there today.
Could shoot it, could pass it, could play 5 out. Obviously, he's a nightmare in the ball screen game. But then we have the movement center. Just playing against Marquette last year with Iguodala, a center like that, a movement center that is that graceful athlete that, you know, allows you to change tempo and pace. Now we've got somebody that has some similarities, you know, coming off the bench for us.
What can you tell us about Clingan's foot? How far away is he? Are we going to see him the first game of the season? Is it just kind of one of these things where 7'3" dudes and feet, you don't want to mess with it?
Oh, the timeline initially was 3 to 5 weeks for him to be back playing. So we obviously are going to wait till he's completely symptom free, and it's controlled completely by the doctors. But I could guarantee you that you know, we'll be conservative.
How hard is it to keep him off the floor? Because he told us that he's ready to get back out there. He's pretty bored.
I've told him to sit down, and it's like a thing on campus. I think students are seeing him like walking with his boot to class and offering rides to class, and just telling him to sit down. The guy has got to sit down and rest his foot so that the thing recovers, man.
So you have the national title under your belt. What's the level of motivation now to go back to back? Is it higher? Is it more? Are you sitting here kind of saying, all right, I got this done, resting on your laurels a little bit?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of my biggest fears going into the year is prior was maybe going into the summer was like complacency. Yeah, I'm going to find complacency. I'm going to find it. I'm going to root it out. I'm going to exterminate it. I'm looking for it. I'm looking for it in anyone's body language. I'm looking for it in the staff meeting. I'm looking for it when I meet with the marketing people. I'm looking for complacency. Where can I find it? My biggest fear is that I'm just going to drive people crazy, like when it's just not there. You know, when
I was going to say, how'd you keep the staff together for so long?
I just got lucky with this past cycle, I think, with Kamani and Luke, but and they got a sweet opportunity here. Those guys don't have to take anything but really outstanding head coaching jobs. But you know, for me, it's a chance this year to make history. It's such a special opportunity. It's it's an incredibly hard thing to do, obviously, to win the NCAA tournament, but to return a team that potentially could do it again, you've got to.
A lot of stuff has happened at this program. You can see it on the walls behind us. Never gone back to back.
Never gone back to back, and no one's done it since Billy's teams, and then before that, what was it? Oscar Robinson or somebody like that did it. So, the chance to make history, you have to put every single thing that you have, personally, emotionally, mentally into this enterprise through, and we have a vision, man. We visualize for ourselves, having a great season. Brooklyn, the Boston, the Phoenix, Brooklyn, the Boston, the Phoenix, getting a high seed for the tournament, playing in Brooklyn, playing in Boston, and then hopefully, finding ourselves in Phoenix.
You guys aren't exactly young this year. I mean, you got a fifth-year senior point guard. You brought in a fifth-year senior transfer in Cam Spencer. Alex Scaraban is old for a sophomore. Donovan Clingan's been through it for a year. Asan Diarra is he fifth year? He's been around forever.
Yeah.
But you do have 5 freshmen on this roster, and that's basically half of kind of what your rotation will end up being. Are you taking a different tact when you're in practice? Are you trying to find yourself be a little bit more patient? It's when you have the experience you had last year and the new pieces that you brought in were older players. How do you manage that aspect of it?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of that is just, what is it? It's a la carte, man. It's like individual, and it's based on, I guess, the hype that a player has coming in, the position that they play, the role they're going to be in terms of what we need from them, whether they need like hard reality checks or that player needs confidence boosting type of communication from me. I think the misnomer with me is that I coach everybody the same. I'm just a complete hard ass. And a lot of that is true. I think we, the failure in those previous tournaments where we weren't playing like modern, smart basketball in terms of the offense, the spacing, the shooting, the passing, the game processors, the pace, the execution. But we thrive, and the people that we recruit in here, they come to us because they want old school values. They want a coach that's going to push them, that's not going to kiss their ass, but also know when they got to pick them up. So we're old school in terms of our culture and the way that we practice, how hard we practice, the pace, the accountability, and so guys like Steph Castle. I'm on Steph's ass right now because, he's coming into this year, as a potential lottery pick, joining 4 guys that look like they have the ability to go far this year. I've got to toughen him up and get him ready for what's coming because people will be gunning for him. UConn's got a big target on us.
Nothing phases that dude. He was. I mean, look, I thought he played really well today. I'm sure that you probably have disagreements about that. But you guys got on him, and he was just like, it was even keel the entire time. That's impressive.
Yeah, I mean, but the way he started practice today would have put us in a hole, would have put us in a hole like the Xavier game. at home last year where we spotted, one of the best teams in the country when healthy. Like, I don't know what that was, like 9-0, 11-0 to start.
Mhm.
And, to do what we want to do this year, Big East championship, have a chance to win another national championship, make history. He's got to play from day one like a veteran.
All right. Last thing I got for you. I just saw Bobby in Las Vegas. Right. And he said that, he said that he's glad that he's now the Hurley that has to try to prove himself in the family. Do you think that's fair?
I don't think that's fair, but we are known to create chips on both shoulders.
Yep. The other thing he said is that you threw a no-hitter when you were 12 years old in Little League. Is that true? Is that true?
This guy's crazy. I did. It was like a 5-inning. I think it was like a 10 strikeout, 3 hit. It might have been like a 2-hit shutout, 5 innings, like 10 Ks or something. Like,
so what were you throwing?
I was dealing. Not hard, not like it was just like a lefty that was just hitting his spots. And then I remember my dad brought the Eddie Ford, who's like a Jersey City legend, who at the time was a scout with the White Sox. And he came to the house in between starts and showed me all types of exercises to increase velocity. In my next start, I gave up like 9 runs in an inning and a third. Anthony Calandrillo, he had to be too old for that little league thing. He hit 2 home runs off me in the same inning. 1 righty, 1 lefty. He switch hit over the fence, like one over the railroad tracks, and the other one over the concession stand. So I never pitched again.
So he hit 1 righty.
Yeah.
And then switched lefty just because he already hit one.
Because he hit 1 righty. He was like twice the size of everybody. He hit 1 over the concession stand, and then I think it was like light rain, like a light rain. He hit the other one over the railroad tracks, and I think Darren Savino might have been on that guy's little league team. And Darren might have hit a home run off me too.
That was the end of your pitching career.
That was the end of my pitching career.
Well, look, I'm glad that it all worked out. Best of luck to you this season.
Thanks, brother.
Again, congratulations, man. Dan Hurley, national champion.